Hey guys, find myself out here at Deerfield again, and I got something kind of cool I want to talk about today. Recently, Deerfield has been given an upgrade. A bunch of benches have been put in the last few weeks, as well as a lot of volunteers, including LD, Rob Golick, Chris Seawright, and I'm sure a lot of others that I don't know, have done the painstaking work to put in all new OB lines on a lot of holes that were previously kind of ill-defined as OB. If you played Deerfield before, you know that big water was considered to be out of bounds, but there was a lot of debate over what's big water. Is this big water? Is this puddle water? Am I out of bounds? So I feel like some of the scores probably have been a little inconsistent due to that factor, and now there's not going to be any doubt. So we're going to take a look at where the OBs are now, and just overall, the course has just been cut. It looks amazing. Thank you to the Parks and Rec Department of Carsville for getting that done for us, and show you what the course looks like now that it's, basically in tip-top shape. So on hole one, the only area that gets wet is this series of puddles, short and right of the basket. All of these are going to stay casual, and you'll just play from behind your lie on the same line. So the benches are mainly this green metal type with the coating, but there are some with backs as well. There's no new OB on 2. It and 6 will remain probably the easiest holes on the course. There will also be no new out of bounds on hole number 3. On hole 4, the ring around the final tree by the green remains the only out of bounds. On number 5, you could potentially run into the OB in between like 9 and 10 back there, but it's pretty unlikely unless you have a really bad tree kick. Okay, number 7, we don't have any water related OB. It's the road and sidewalk. They're out of bounds on this one. So here on number 8, we encounter the new OB for the first time, really. This whole front section here is out of bounds, and some people will be turned off taking the Spike Heiser route from all the OB on the right side. I believe there might also be some OB long. We'll give it a better view when we get down there. Okay, so here's the basket. There's where my drive landed, more or less perfect. And less than 12 feet this way, we have an OB line that wraps all the way around these trees and all the way around to the side, in between 8 and 9 here. So I can't tell you how many times I've been about right there putting for a birdie, and that's gonna be out of bounds now. Don't leave it long. On 9 here, we have a similar situation with pylons all along the right side. And then I believe they wrap behind the basket. Yeah, you can see them wrapping behind the basket there as well. I'll give you a better look when I walk up there. So my run was pretty pathetic there. I had like a 35-foot putt, and I totally chickened out because look how tight the OB is now. You got about 12 feet behind this basket, and it wraps all the way around this tree. I don't know of anyone who took the Spike Heiser route before, but it'd be sure pretty much folly now. And a lot of putts that were getting run probably will not be getting run on this hole anymore. Okay, so halfway through, I have really only been impacted by the OB on holes 8 and 9. Those are the places where it really ended up changing a lot. The only way it changed the way I played it is I would have run that putt normally on 9, and I kind of chickened out. I got a feeling 8 and 9 are probably going to play a little bit closer to par than they typically have. I think the last tournament in Advanced, 8 basically played a full stroke under par, like 2.15, and 9 was like 2.75. I got a feeling they're going to be both around like 2.5 and then right at 3 for number 9 with that OB scaring some people off their aggressive putt. Let's see what the back looks like. Okay, so on 12, we now have OB all along the right side, behind the basket, and cutting pretty far centrally to the fairway in that little channel. I think this forehand gap will become more commonly used than it probably was before, and people who play the spike hyzer will probably play a higher line around the outside. On 13, of course, the road's still OB, and then we have added the creek on the right is permanently OB, and it's pretty tight to the basket behind. So might see fewer people doing a long backhand there. '14 definitely has gotten a little bit of a makeover with the whole right side here playing out of bounds all the way down. That especially impacts on your second shot and up near the green, where a bad roll away off that elevated basket could definitely end up in the low spot in the out of bounds. So this OB all along here, as it gets tighter towards the green, it's probably gonna mess with some people, especially in their second shots and their approach shots. It's not near as tight as like 8 and 9 are, but still a circle's edge putt is over here in the OB now. Luckily mine hit this stump and stayed in bounds, so got an easy birdie putt. On hole 16 here, basically the entire part that can be wet down here in the low spot is now permanently OB. I've had to change my play a little bit because playing under this branch and trying to skip up doesn't really work anymore, because if you can see it, the OB curls around behind. So basically it turned it into a semi-island green, at least a peninsula. There's water behind that marked tree, and the marked tree is the last OB point on the left. So playing a higher line with a forehand is really the play now, unless you have the power to do the big spike hyzer over this tree right there, which I've seen work, but only in the wintertime. So to give you a better look at the green now, so we're OB all along the left side here, back to this marked tree, which is circle's edge back here by the creek, but right around this area, I wish it was a little bit wider. It's only about 22 feet from that post, and some of this area could probably be in bounds without causing issue. And of course you got the creek back here, and it's marked on this side as well. So basically you have a green just a little bit bigger than the circle, and this area over here is still safe to be bailed out in if you want to play that really high spike hyzer with a forehand or turnover line. Okay, so we're on 18. 18 still has the Mando close, but we also have OB stretching all the way down around the side. "19, everyone is saying this is now the hardest hole in the course because all of this area in the middle, this is all OB. There's also OB long and OB left. So he plays the true peninsula. I like the idea of the big backhand play when it's dry like this, because you can still be a little short and skip up dry. But if there's any water down there at all, I think a lot of people will go to the forehand where it's fading along parallel to the green up there. Let's see if I can hit that fairway. Okay, so I played mine on a big hyzer, be safe, and it's right on the line. I'm gonna say I got a wing inbound because there's no one else to check me, but that was awful tight. And we're wrapping it up on 20 here. OB plays all around this right side, but the basket's so far left, unless you hit a tree, it's not really gonna come into play for most players. You might see this forehand gap down here played a little bit more, but I kind of doubt it. I think the skip highs are still the way to go. I only succumbed to the OB once on my drive on 18. And I might have to rethink that. I've been playing that flex forehand play for a long time, and I got it 420 some feet down there, but doesn't do you a whole lot of good if you're losing a stroke on it. So maybe a backhand back out to the open is going to be the play there from now on. Overall, one of my better rounds out here, and if you guys watched, thanks for coming along for the ride. I think that the nature of the course out here has changed a little bit with all the OB added. It definitely has transformed more into like a technician style course instead of like an intermediate proving ground style course, I would say. I'm thinking that previously a 900 was about 2 down out here, and I think you're gonna have to, that's gonna probably be more like even is 900 down, which is a good, rule of thumb for most courses. During the last sanction round, I shot a 7 down, and that was a 958 or 9, something like that. And I think that'll be more like a 970 going forward, just because of how much OB is out here now, and how easy it is to find it on. Like, 19 is gonna kill people. It's straight up gonna murder some scores. And I think that 16 now has the possibility to trip some people up as well. So great job to the guys out here. It's definitely making it